Thank you. That was a very enlightening panel discussion. And now to continue on, we're going to continue with the Silicon Valley and US perspective. And next up is Rohit Jain. And as Rohit comes up, we'll start the discussions as well. Thank you. So that was a fascinating discussion of how two large companies, right, Accenture and Intel, work with startups. So just to give a little background on Rohit, he was with a very small company up in the Seattle area called Amazon for 8.5 years. And then he left that about 1.5 years ago to work for another small company, which is the largest retailer in the world, Walmart. So I think he brings a boatload of experience for people here in India in terms of how do you work with customers, how do you deal with complex supply chains, and so forth, right? So welcome, Rohit.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everybody, or rather, good afternoon. It's great to be here. This is my first time in NPC. I'm delighted to be here. And also, I just wanted to give a quick call out to all the folks from WalmartLabs Bangalore office. Hi, guys. And just to give you a quick context about supply chain in the context of customers and in the context of how customers' shopping behavior are changing. We would like to play a quick video just to give you some guys a little bit of context. Can we roll the video, please?
Retail is no longer just physical, and it's not just digital. Customers today are looking for convenient ways to shop, in stores, online, and on mobile. Walmart uniquely combines digital and physical assets in a one-of-a-kind fulfillment network to reach the customer more quickly and affordably.
Our fulfillment centers are strategically located throughout the country based on customer demand. Just in terms of SKUs, one facility that we're building, just this building alone, will have 5 times the SKU storage capacity that our entire network had just a year ago.
We've invested a significant amount to put a lot of outbound processing horsepower within these facilities and minimize our labor costs to reduce the amount of time it takes to get those orders to a customer.
These large-scale e-commerce fulfillment centers combine with existing e-commerce facilities all over the country. Plus, over 80 Walmart retail locations are set up to ship directly from store.
A customer's order comes in, an associate picks the items from the shelves of the store and ships the order directly from the retail location.
Add that to 4,500 store locations that can be used as pickup points for orders, and you see the total picture of a dense, interconnected network that allows Walmart to get closer to the customer.
Walmart's transportation fleet is one of the most efficient operations in the world. All of these pieces, the centers, the stores, the fleet, work together to give customers more choice in how they receive their order, faster service, and lower cost.
There is no other company with a network like this.
Walmart is doing what only Walmart can do. Walmart, e-commerce fulfillment unlike anyone else.
Terrific. So let's start with, now they've given the context, let's start with the unique vantage point you bring from your experience and your current job, right? So there's this whole order management, omni-channel orders management, and you have a supply chain challenge, right? So just take us through how you look at making it so simple. I'm a Walmart customer, I just go press a button and suddenly I can pick this product up at my neighborhood store or I can have it shipped to me. So what's behind the scenes in terms of looking at these products? Just talk to us a little bit about the product management theory behind it and practicality, and then we can delve into more details.
Great, fantastic. It's a great question. This is something, I think I live and breathe every single day. I think the way we should think about first is look at the customers. Look at the customer's journey. Look at what customers want today. And if you look at the current behavior since, let's say, 10 years before or even 30 years before, today's customers want to shop anywhere. They want to get the goods anytime and anywhere. So irrespective of the channel, whether it's a desktop, whether it's mobile phone, whether it's in the store, they want a complete, seamless digital and physical relationship where they can go and get the goods whenever they want. So as the video showed, you can, in Walmart, given the stores that we have, given the fulfillment centers that we have, you could order, and also the other dimension is general merchandise versus fresh or a grocery. The challenges in delivering GM items versus delivering, a banana is very different. So giving the customer in forefront, what we try to do is we work backwards from that and try to see what can we do to meet that promise, to meet that commitment that we gave. So I think that's what we do first, look at the customers, work backwards. And then what we try to do is, in a very typical startup world, from a WalmartLabs point of view, and by the way, just to give you a little bit of context on what WalmartLabs is, WalmartLabs is really, I would say, the technology company or an internet technology company that is it's working inside the #1 retailer in the world. That's how you should think about it. And this WalmartLabs is the technology arm, which is basically enabling all the technology for e-commerce. We are based in Sunnyvale, San Bruno in California, in Sao Paulo in Brazil, as well as in Bangalore. Given these kind of brilliant engineers that we have, what we try to do in a typical Silicon Valley style, we start with the customers, look at their behavior, and then start building prototypes, and then go through iterations. A couple of things as specific examples is, when a customer goes and checks out on their website, they're given a couple of options. They're given options of, when do you want it, if you want it to be delivered at home, given the item, given the zip code that the customer needs that item. So if I'm let's say I'm in Milwaukee, and I want to send this item to Milwaukee, Walmart on a real-time basis, we actually look back, look at the inventory, the availability of the inventory. We look at all the different locations that the inventory is available. We also look at all the different transportation carriers that potentially can fulfill the order. And then we also look at, by the way, trying to optimize for cost. And by the way, we do that in milliseconds as you are browsing and checking out on the website. On the other hand, in the same item page on Walmart.com, we also give an option for you to pick up from a pickup. And when you enter the zip code, we do the same thing. We look up the stores behind the scenes. We look at the inventory. We basically give you the stores where you can pick it up based on the availability. And then the customer checks out. Now, the interesting is, MR is, once the order is placed, we have given a commitment to the customer. We have made a promise that, hey, this item will be delivered to you on, let's say, October 31st. And we have to hit the promise. And so once the order is placed, this is where I think my role comes in. I kind of lead the product management for what we call as post-purchase in customer promise team, which is a part of WalmartLabs in supply chain technology. We then figured out how do you process the orders, how do you, in a very fast fashion, send it to whether it's to a store, whether it's to a fulfillment center, and then ensure that the item is picked, packed, shipped, and put it in the trailer with a carrier, and it's delivered to the customer on real time. So just to give you a little bit of sense of, and by the way, at Walmart scale, just to throw it in.
That's fascinating, because I think part of the thing is masking the complexity and giving the customer a very simple, evocative experience, right? And that's what the goal is.
Absolutely.
So as you do this product set, if you will, how are your teams working? I mean, you said you have Sao Paulo, you have Bangalore, you have a couple of locations in the US. Take us through, like, in a typical product cycle, what happens?
So I think in a very typical product, kind of life cycle way, we first go and look at the customer requirements. We basically say, okay, what is exactly what the customer wants, right? Through that, we basically, we'll have a product management team. They start to put together product requirements. And while they're putting to the product requirements, we quickly work with our UX designers. We also have data scientists in our team. We then collaborate typically very early in the process. And this is a key distinction I want to call out, is a lot of times what we do is, let's first define the product, and then we engage the engineers. I think what we try to do differently in WalmartLabs is, we get some of the lead engineers engaged right up front, so that they get the context, they get the details. And then we start figuring out the architecture and the implementation aspect of it in a typical Valley, fast-moving, iterative style. Specifically, I can talk about a couple of examples. So I have teams in both California and a pretty substantial team in Bangalore. And for us, the team, there's no difference between the Bangalore office or the California office. It's a true one seamless product management development team. Whether it's innovating, whether it's building static products, we get into calls, we get people fly over in both the locations, and then we sit down together, and together we figure out propose a solution, and then start building it. So yes, it's very collaborative. Yes, it's in two different continents, but MRR is it's fascinating, and in a lot of sense, I want to mention is a lot of times we think that India is like a development center. I just want to call out that in Walmart's lab, this is truly a product development company or the entity. We don't think about our development center in Bangalore here as a true development center. I think about it as it's so critical for us from an innovation point of view, from an engineering delivery point of view. They do a fantastic job.
And then the second part of it is scaling it, right? You have millions of customers coming and so forth. So is your deployment architecture one of private cloud kind of scenario? Do you use public clouds? I mean, what's the take on that side?
Great question. In a typical, Silicon Valley this is a bit different. We are a big consumer of open source, and we are also a big contributor towards open source technology. So yes, we have our own private cloud. OneOps is one of the the clouds, and also we build and leverage the standard technologies, like Java, Cassandra, Couchbase, NoSQL kind of frameworks to develop our platform. And it's all of them is effectively SOA architecture based, micro based. So nothing too different than I think you see a lot of technology companies that are working in Silicon Valley today.
Great. And then the other thing is, this WalmartLabs concept was born out of the fact that you're in Bentonville, and they didn't have the right perspective maybe, and you've started WalmartLabs to just be part of the Silicon Valley, culture and ecosystem, if you will, right? And I guess, and then you bought some companies, you've acquired some companies. Maybe can you take us through when you do that, how all that works in Walmart as you acquire companies? And I know more recently you bought a little startup called Jet for $3 billion, right? So what is going on with melding all these companies and architectures together?
It's a great question. So the history of WalmartLabs basically came from an acquisition we made a few years back called Cosmix. I think our leaders realized that if you really want to build a true technology company, and you go with the startup route, you invest on them, acquire. Startups typically, in my mind, there are a couple of directions why we acquire. It's the talent acquisition, or you're actually acquiring for product building, right? So that was kind of Cosmix was where I think WalmartLabs kind of started. And if I fast forward, if I look at in the last 4 to 5 years, Walmart has acquired more than I think close to 14 to 15 different startups in different phases. You have Inkurus of the world, the Cosmix of the world, and more recently, as you said, Jet.com. And our philosophy is no different than our first acquisition. The Jet acquisition for us specifically, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering and probably have questions around Jet. I think it was really about showing our seriousness in investing in e-commerce. We clearly realized this is very important for us. We also realized, Mark Lohr, who is now the CEO of both Jet.com and Walmart.com, is a visionary. He's an entrepreneur by heart. He's a core in e-commerce. He brings ton of experience and the entrepreneurial spirit that we want. And I think Doug McMillan, who's our CEO, and when they talk about this acquisition, they talk about that the spirit that Mark brings, the merchandising aspect, the technology, the basket economics that he brings, is almost like what we call as EDLP 2.0. EDLP stands for everyday low price that Walmart is so famous for. And by giving savings back in an e-commerce world, when you shop more, when you buy things together, there are savings that we want to pass. And I think this is a great, if you're a Walmart customer, and that's how kind of our investment philosophies are.
So there are many, many entrepreneurs here in the audience, right? I'm sure they're curious, how do I work with Walmart Labs? What is your process? Are you my partner? Those are the kind of questions I'm sure some of them have. So can you kind of explain a little bit in terms of your partnering philosophy?
It's very simple. We see startups as critical to our journey. We look at startups as an avenue for, as I said before, a talent acquisition route, or it could be a product building route. I'm not sure if everybody knows, but we made a very, very strong commitment to basically going through the startup route last year. And since last year, we have been working with a variety of startups in Bangalore who are in various stages. In fact, this is my first trip here. Yesterday, when I was here, I actually started to some of the startup pitches. So I think the question is that a lot of you may have is, I have this brilliant idea. How should I engage with Walmart? My suggestion is just contact us. If you're here today, you have a brilliant idea, stop by our booth. It's a very simple process. We just want to take the bureaucracy out, or we want to make it very simple for you guys. Just talk to us, reach out to us. We will engage with you guys, and we'll just go through the prototype discussions. And this is exactly what happened yesterday. And in fact, today also, we are meeting a few startups and kind of are learning what they are trying to do.
Great. I know some of you have questions, so get them noted, and I'll come back to you in a minute. Just to follow up on that, I think Walmart also has a venture arm and stuff. Do you invest in companies too?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually don't know that answer.
So we'll find out. But I was just thinking, in your promotion of the startup culture, there might be also investments being made. But
yeah, I think we look at. I mean, I don't know if I would use the word a venture company, but I would say just overall Walmart corporate. Is highly, invested in working with startups. And I think our track record that we've acquired, 14 companies of all shapes and sizes, including a recent, $3.3 billion acquisition, is a good proof that we are really, really, into startups.
Right. Questions? We have time for a few questions. Anybody there? Okay, so I'll continue on so we can come back to the audience. So as you look at the integration of supply chain, going back to that, it's pretty complex, right? You have either supplies in store, you have supplies in distribution centers, you might even have other shipping locations, sometimes maybe even you go back to the manufacturer. So it's a pretty lengthy supply chain. So how do you view that in terms of, do you have specific API type ideas around that only you can use, or do you open that up, the architecture to other third parties? I mean, how do you view that whole supply chain linking to information and linking to third parties?
It's a great question. So I think specifically on supply chain, I think, as you rightly said, we have varieties of locations. I mean, to be honest, we have 5 fulfillment centers that are just specific to e-commerce. We have a bunch of distribution centers running to hundreds, which also serve stores as well as the fulfillment centers. We also have close to around 80 what we call as ship from store, or where we actually the stores actually ship and fulfill the orders. And then we also have pick up today, which also is pick up today. And which is you can go and pick it up from the store, or we can ship the item to the specific store that you want. In all of them, we basically work with, and also by the way, we also have DSPs or dropship vendors. So through all that, we don't kind of expose the API per se, but then we basically have a mechanism to send the orders to the dropship vendors, and in most cases also with our 1P item. We send it to the fulfillment centers, and then they go ahead and fulfill that orders effectively.
So I'm coming back to the audience, giving you another chance. Does anybody have a question? They get a $5 million Walmart gift card. Okay. So I think one closing question. So as you look ahead, how do you plan to take advantage of your role in visiting with the Bangalore and Indian ecosystem to really look at more companies, look at more startups? I think you said you had meetings yesterday and today. Do you plan to continue that on a regular basis so startups here can really reach out to you personally to kind of get involved in this whole partnership phase?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we are very committed to startups. It's a continuous process. I personally have committed to come to the Bangalore office every quarter. We have a lot of great work going on, from our Bangalore offices. And as part of that, definitely my engagement with the startups for the areas that I own will be there. But that said, me coming here once a quarter should not be a reason if you need to reach out to somebody and reach out to Walmart tomorrow or 2 weeks from now or 2 months from now. We have a very, very, fantastic team in the Bangalore office, and you could reach out to them directly, and in turn, we can get the process starting.
Great. Rohit, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.